Fox News, as you know, they are in some serious legal trouble here with regard to the election lies that they platformed in the wake of 2020, and especially with regards to what they said about the Dominion voting systems, or at least what they allowed on their air about Dominion voting systems. Now, we have already covered here some of the very embarrassing text messages that have come out about how Tucker Carlson really feels about Donald Trump, about how they knew that basically some of these things that were being said were total bullshit. They thought Sidney Powell was a crazy person because she is a crazy person, but then they would put her on air and like take her seriously like she wasn't. Well, now the latest shoe to drop, let's put this up on the screen, is that the Delaware Superior Court judge who is overseeing this defamation lawsuit, multi-billion-dollar, by the way, defamation lawsuit against Fox, they just sanctioned Fox and their parent company, Fox Corporation, for withholding evidence in the Dominion defamation suit. And the judge said that he is considering further investigation and censure. So basically what happened here is lawyers for Dominion voting systems came into court and played recordings of a Fox News producer in 2020 that was not handed over to them during discovery until like a week ago. So this process has been going on now for like over a year, and they just were given this latest recording, which has in her deposition, she says she's a former producer for Fox host Maria Bartiromo and Tucker Carlson. She sued Fox News and said her deposition was coerced. In an amended filing Tuesday, she said she had recorded conversations with Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, and others. And again, those are the recordings that Dominion was just given access to. The other piece here, which is kind of weird, is they lied about whether Rupert Murdoch was actually, like, what level of title he held at Fox News, because they wanted to sort of insulate him, like, oh, Rupert didn't really have anything to do with what was going on at Fox News, even though some of the messages from him would indicate otherwise. But they out and out hid what his actual role was at Fox News, which is like sort of crazy, because how did you think that that wasn't going to come out?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think one of the weird things that really comes out throughout this entire thing is Rupert Murdoch unable to reconcile kind of the empire that he built, and also putting the company in significant like legal jeopardy and also financial damage, because at this point, Dominion has gotten and gained so much ground, Krystal. They feel no need to reach any sort of settlement outside of the $1 billion or so range. They're suing for $1.6 billion. And now the reputational damage to Fox, not only from the texts, but what is coming from the trial after being censored now, is they very well may have to call Tucker, Hannity, and some of the top talent to the stand in open court, which would be a disaster.
Under oath.
Yeah, under oath. Same, and it would be a disaster too for Rupert Murdoch. I mean, again, the damage that this would incur to the overall brand, to its already like having schism with Trump, I think is already, you know, well past what settlement is. And apparently people inside the company are furious with him for not just settling the case for exactly the reasons that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he just doesn't care. Like, look, he's worth like $50–60 billion. So I don't know what $1.6 billion is.
I mean, he's very elderly.
Yeah, he's old
too, and infirm, and has had major health issues.
Let me read this part also from the profile, which is nuts.
Put this next piece up on the screen. This is from Gabe Sherman over at Vanity Fair, who has this in-depth profile of Rupert Murdoch. And the real crux of what he's talking about here is this sort of succession drama that's playing out within the Murdoch empire, because he has these two sons, Lachlan and James, who are kind of at war with one another. Rupert really pitted them at war with one another over control of the organization. Lachlan is more ideologically aligned with Fox News. James is more like resistance friendly and wants to do a bit of a U-turn in terms of the way that, you know, the type of content that Fox puts out and the type of positions that they take. So there's this behind the scenes war as Murdoch is very aged and everybody's looking towards, okay, what happens when this guy is gone?
The extent of how old he is not well known. Here's what they say, quote, Murdoch has suffered a broken back, seizures, 2 bouts of pneumonia, atrial fibrillation, and a torn Achilles tendon, as well as a terrible bout with COVID-19. So he's 91 or 92 years old. That is brutal. So that also gets to, decision making and whether he's even in the right state of mind to be doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I were obviously it's tough, when you're dealing with your dad and all of that. But the bottom line is that for Fox itself, like this is bad, especially with what's going on right now with the judge.
The money quote from that Gabe Sherman piece is, "The Dominion lawsuit is the worst crisis at the network I've seen." And Gabriel Sherman, by the way, he's done in-depth,
Yeah, he wrote the Roger Ailes biography I talk about all the time.
Right, exactly. Yeah. In their own words, Fox hosts have been exposed as propagandists. Here's a quote from a senior Fox staffer. He said, "If we lose this suit, it's effing bad." As far as Murdoch himself goes, the picture that comes out is someone who has kind of lost control over the empire, at least the Fox News portion of the empire, in a way, because he initially, really didn't like some of the election fraud stuff. He wanted them to sort of tamp down on it. He was basically overruled by the hosts who saw the ratings going down. They were worried about One American News, and they worried about Newsmax. And so after this brief flirtation after the election of actually being like, well, no, Joe Biden really did win, then they did, an about face and started leaning into, all right, let's have Sidney Powell on, let's have Rudy Giuliani on, let's make sure we give credence to some of the nonsense that was, the most insane of the Stop the Steal stuff. They say, according to Dominion's court filings, Murdoch protected Fox News' ratings by allowing the network's hosts and guests to promote a batshit crazy theory that algorithms inside Dominion machines secretly switch votes to Biden to steal the election, somehow at the behest of the Venezuelan government. There's a couple other pieces here that are very interesting, which relate to the 2024 discussion we were just having, which is, according to this, Murdoch actually wanted a post-Trump future, as many Republican-aligned elites do. Shortly before the 2020 election, according to a source, Murdoch invited Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and his wife Casey for lunch at Murdoch's Vineyard. As they dined outside on steak, this is, again, before the 2020 election, Murdoch told DeSantis then that Fox News would support him for president in 2024.
Right.
So, couple things that are obvious from that statement. Number one, the idea that Fox News is just like, oh, fair and balanced, and we're fine. No, this has always been an explicitly political organization, above and beyond anything else. That's number one. Like, to actively tell him, like, no, I'm going to, from the top down, we're going to back you in 2024 is pretty wild.
That's how Roger Ailes used to run the company, too, with George W. Bush,
oh, yeah.
Ted Cruz.
Absolutely.
And others. And, I think the real story is that they just have less influence now.
Well, that's the other piece of this is he can say all he wants, like, oh, Fox News is behind Ron DeSantis. And we've shown you the evidence of they have been behind Ron DeSantis. But it doesn't matter.
Does not moving the needle. Yeah.
And I don't think that would have been true in another era. They had so much influence with the base, and they really set the narrative. And yeah, I think it's a commentary on just the media landscape that exists now. You just can't have that tight control anymore. Yeah. And people are gonna make up their minds for themselves. If they are hearing from you, Ron DeSantis is great, they're like, okay, he's fine. But you know what? I'm also watching Newsmax, or I'm watching One American News, or I'm looking at Facebook or Daily Wire or whatever, and I still like the guy that was here before. And the fact that you've got your host selling me Ron DeSantis doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah, that was my takeaway, too. I'm not going to do any Succession spoilers, but there is a part in season 3 where, like, the idea is that Logan Roy is, like, this Rupert Murdoch character, and they're like, we're going to go pick the next president. And the idea was that, like, behind the scenes, like, the Fox News, whatever it's represented, it's called ATN instead of the show, they're like, we're going to go and pick that. And I remember watching it and being like, this is old. Like, this is not how it works anymore. This is maybe 2008. Yeah, you could make a case for that.
Yeah.
But today, I'm like, this actually is wrong. Like, that's just not how it works in terms of how the base is able to get its information. Yeah, they're on Truth Social, they're on YouTube, like, it's some Tim Pool show, like a million other places that they can get it. They don't need Fox to tilt the thing for them.
Yeah.
So they'll never get over that, I think.
The last piece that we just added in, because it is also revealing, is MSNBC got their hands on some audio of an actual Trump campaign official.
Oh, right.
Telling a Fox News producer that there were no problems with the Dominion voting machines. Okay, again, a Trump campaign person telling Fox News no issues with the Dominion voting machines. Take a listen to this.
Are any of the machines, I know it was on War Room the other day with Steve Bannon, have any of the machines been looked at? He had said that one was looked at in Georgia.
I'd have to check on that in terms of Georgia. I know during the audit they did check on those machines. They're really, you know, if we can just go off the record for 1 sec here.
Yeah, of course. I don't want us to say it if it's not. That's why we're checking.
I think they have looked at the machines. When the Secretary of State did its audit, there was a fair bit of looking at the machines. You know, the audit came in pretty darn close to what the machine count was with the receipts. So, you know, I don't know the outcome of those, but our understanding, again, this is from the Secretary of State's office, was that there weren't any physical issues with machines on those inspections.
And that was from December 5th of 2020, just to give you a sense of the timeline here. But yeah, no physical issues with the Dominion voting machines. And this is highly relevant for the legal case because Dominion has to prove that they knew this was wrong. It's like the actual malice, so that what they call it. Like, they knew that it was wrong and incorrect and a bunch of lies, and they pushed it forward anyways. So that's why audio like this is relevant to the legal case.
I mean, it's just humiliating. Funny, too, that he has to go off the record to be like, yeah, we looked at these machines.
I know, right? To admit that what a machines were audited.
I bet you that guy was on TV talking about how they need to do an audit. Well, they did, and there's nothing there. Well, you know. Yeah, anyway, embarrassing nonetheless for all the parties who are involved.
Yes. Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.